speak to. An amazing story, and I'm sure we all resonated with different parts of it, but certainly for anybody that knows me will know that particularly the changing the gender balance is something that I'm like, yes, love that that's what you're fighting for. And I think we all have visions for our business, and to be able to stay so strong to that, no matter, even if you're being offered what feels like the golden prize, and still say, no, that's just not going to work for me, something else. So thank you so much for sharing that with us. Okay, so I would like to welcome Jo Watson here to speak to us. And Jo is from JW Associates, and she works with third sector and ethical organisations, so already loving that, to help them with their competitive advantage. And Jo is going to share, she's going to share a bit of her story. She's done a lot of research on CEOs in Northern Ireland, and share some of the amazing insights she's got from that. So if we could all welcome Jo.
Hello everybody, I admire your stayability in this heat. I was thinking it was just me, a woman of a certain age, but I think you're all suffering. So as a woman that's 49 3/4, you're all feeling my pain, so it's great. As Sinead had so kindly introduced me, my name is Jo. I am 10 months as a sole trader in my own business. And for all the lovely compliments on this dress, it's the first bit of retail therapy I've allowed myself in 10 months. Thank you. And I'm so glad you all like it. So you can see you can live without a lot. As Rita was explaining to us, it's all about your vision. For me, I want to share a little bit about my journey. Originally, I titled it Story, and then actually went, no, this is a journey. Saying it was with feeling, you know, I'm on to husband number 2, who's almost a decade younger and buys better jewellery. So, you know, I've learned a lot. So rather than getting too confessional with all of you, that's why I've stayed off the wine. And this is the second time I've done this event, so you think I would know better that the train is designed for these moments. But no, there's a job of work to do. The other thing I would say to you is I put in the pitch thinking, it'll never happen. This is what you're supposed to do in the first year, get yourself out there, network, get people to know who you are, get people to care. And then I got it, thanks. But I'm delighted, and actually listening to the previous 2 speakers, I totally get what your evil plan was, because the whole time I was nodding. Because for me, it's all about your values, which is the same as your vision. It's all about your self-care. It's all about the difference you make with that balance between the two. So I still get it now, and hopefully by the end of my part, you'll all get it too. Okay, so in terms of starting, we're off to a great start. Technology's working. At some point, I'll probably speak into this, click the mic. But if you can all just bear with me, you know, it's a bit of too much technology. Absolutely, have a look, and much better use, I want to say Feely Belfast. Yeah. Because it sounds good. Feely, you did a bit of Feely Belfast. So definitely do stay in touch. Please do tweet like mad. This is all about shouting proud that we're all here and what we're doing on a very hot evening. You know, it's all good. The other thing I should just say to you is I had done a bit of stalking on the old lean-in for quite a while. And I'm looking at Louise because it's like a guilty pleasure because you were part of that stalking. So I did a lot of signing up and a lot of things like that in the journey to thinking about self-employment. Now for me, self-employment, as a very wise entrepreneur once said to me, you reach a point where you have no choice. And I remember at the time thinking, there's always a choice. Why would you choose this? No dresses for 10 months, you know, why would you choose this? And actually he was absolutely right, because as part of my journey, I have encountered lots of different people, and just like all of you. And some people are energy givers, and some people are Dysons. And what I have found in my experience as I've gone out doing income generation, because that's what I've done for 25 years, is basically get people to give me very large sums of money for no real reason, other than they're going to feel better, and there's lots of beneficiaries. So lots of people in need, and I help persuade people that have to give to the have-nots. So mine is all about feelings and intensity and all of those relationship building activities. But I have found in my experience of managing teams that we all, hopefully, or not, have had an experience of being part of a team where it's energy givers, and it's great. And then you have the moaning minis who come along to the team meeting and they go, well, it'll never work. They've done that before. Yeah, and what makes you think you could do that? Or you get the people that pretend to be very supportive and then slowly annihilate you. So there's lots of those opportunities happen where people do reverse bullying. You can have bullying from above. Now I use the word bullying because actually it's a learnt behaviour that somebody else has worked out gets them what they want. That is bullying. So, not to bring the first husband into it, but I'm setting the picture. So I was a very good girl, did well at school, I'm a people pleaser, I wanted to make everybody happy, the youngest of 5 siblings, 2 blended families, it was all going on. So the reality was, got married at 21, chose not to do the primary degree, and I at all points just start drinking the wine in support of me. What was I thinking? But anyway, decided I could make him a better person. All he needed was lots of love. He'd had such a hard background. Hopefully his ears are burning off him. So the reality was, went off, decided I needed to get a mortgage, decided I would go and work, didn't do the primary degree. I mean, I know how this sounds. And went off and did my utmost. 9 long years. But also working in the voluntary sector, so at the same time you were working long hours, you had values, you had targets in terms of income, and if anybody's ever vouched for the third sector, they'll know that income is everything. It's the difference between helping people and not, and that's such a huge burden. So for me, I was going through lots of difficulties both at home and how I balanced work. Meanwhile, I'm a people pleaser, and I put myself at the very bottom. So again, for women, this is a very easy thing to do, because actually it's a very comfortable thing to do. No, I'll sort it for you. No, you need me. And even now, even though I'm much more enlightened, even without the wine, the reality is I can still slip back in a heartbeat, and that was something even that Vivian and I were talking about, that you learn so much. So I'm going to tell you a little bit more. Just to set the context just a little bit, I ended up with a director role after redundancy, and the director role was a lot more money, working for another charity. And I remember at the time everybody saying to me, gosh, that's great, you've really landed on your feet, I can't believe that you weren't more upset about the redundancy. Again, the redundancy, I wasn't, because I've been there 4.5 years, and to me change is good, because I can't even do the housework unless I move the furniture. There has to be a reward that you get to move the furniture, because otherwise there's way more important things than mopping the floor. So the reality was I was quite relaxed at change. I like change. Change is good. So the reality was I went into an environment that was horrible. So cast your mind back. I'm the person that's an energy giver, but I'm also very conscious of other people's emotions. And I've only learned this the hard way. I can go into a room or into a team meeting and I know something's up. Like sometimes people say, oh, it's nearly spooky. It's not. It's just the way I'm built. I have the ability just to pick it up, and it's the most distracting thing ever, because somebody will have had an absolute barney at home. I was sitting halfway through the meeting thinking, what's wrong with it? What's going on here? And the reality is it can be very distracting on top of everything else, but you also have a belief beacon on top of your head for a certain type of other person. Okay, so we're back to the toxic. Okay, and yes, it's a man, just to throw that into, but equally I've come across it in women, so it's really not gender specific. And in this situation, I had people within the organisation who would regularly come and sit and cry in my office. Now, the department that I was managing as director, I tried my reach as far as I could go in terms of improving things, because I'm a trier, I'm a people pleaser, I want things to work. So I tried everything from the positive. I'm a great believer that you start with the positive and you work through all of that. Still wasn't working. Then there was a situation that arose. I'm not going into the details if I have wine in mind. And what happened is I told this person that I thought they were harsh. I had just reached a point where my values deep inside me, and the irony was that they weren't even attacking me, it was somebody totally unconnected. But the big learning moment there was it didn't matter. That when your values, which are deep, deep, deep in here, are challenged in such a fundamental way, my life journey had got me to the point where I went, whoa, that's really harsh. This person hit the ceiling and floated down. He'd obviously never had it quite so direct, and he took great umbrage. So I went home, and of course the hubby was then going, why are you not crying? Why are you not crying in the car? And I went, actually, it's the best I've felt in months. So, alright, deuce. I was not channeling all of that toxicity and stress and pressure and helplessness very well. So this is what I looked like 2 years ago. Wow. Okay, so some people turn to alcohols and drugs and all of those other things. I choose to wear mine on the outside. So what basically happened, without getting too Oprah on all of you, is all the difficult feelings, I would do this with the food and shut them down. And believe me, there aren't support knickers big enough. Yeah, it's just not happening. It's not happening. So the reality was, I was miserable, even though there's the jolly smiley face. And again, that's part of the pressure, because you're assumed to be, well sure, she's big, she doesn't mind. So 6 stone later, lost, I did mind. I just didn't tell you. I just let you all think it was okay, and it was just part of who I was. But the toxicity and other things led to a problem whereby my thyroid just shut down completely. So I had to get the whole lot taken out. Now, there was a benign tumour. I don't want any sort of, it was benign, it was fine. But it was a scary moment, and a lot of people have scary moments in life, and that's the point where your values and your ethics and your deep down feelings come to the fore, and you go, never again. Now, sadly, thyroid's long gone. Quite a good scar though, I'd have to say. Like, it's quite good. So the reality was I could have hid behind all of those things for the weight, but actually it wasn't. It was the feelings and not being able to process them. So back to the work life. You're all bearing with me so well, thank you. So 2 years later, no primary degree, went off and did an advanced diploma, loved it, and was in amongst some very strong, articulate, lovely women. And those women I've since gone on to form a lean-in group for arts in North Down. Be the change you want to see. So thank you. So after all that stalking that I've already confessed to last time, lots of stalking, it was about, right, get off your now smaller bottom and go and create the circle closer to home, because I was moaning about the Belfast men. I want to drink wine in Bangor. And there I am. So 2 years later, I was pushed from the advanced diploma to go and do a master's. Now, if anybody's ever heard about imposter syndrome, I am the poster child. That's the feeling you have deep inside when somebody says you're great and you go, no, not really. Or you say, take charge of that and run it for me. Oh, who, me? Or you start using words like luck. Now, a lot of these will resonate with female. Oh, I was very lucky. No, you weren't. You did a lot of hard work and you have expertise. You might say, no, I had a great team, because it's all about sharing. You've been taught as a good little girl to share the praise. So for me to suddenly get thrown into doing a master's with no primary degree, and I loved it, and ended up thriving on it. Now, I did get dissertation fever, which I think everybody does, but I also got distinction fever, which is another kind of pain. So you start with one and then you push and push. So, I'm not cured. I'd just like to put that out there. So 2 years later, I'm smiling. What you can't see is that's James Nesbitt. That's why I'm smiling. So you're walking full speed towards James Nesbitt. Cheeky chappy. So it was all good. But that was about affirmation. That was about getting good marks. And I don't say that to do the I simply say that it's part of that affirmation. So believe yourself, believe your voice. You don't need to do the route that I did. I told you I would start to get confused. Okay, so one of the things you'll have heard about is well, hopefully you've heard about CSR, corporate social responsibility. How dull is that? You're all sitting there thinking, okay, it was mildly interesting when you were talking about the ex, a bit more interesting talking about the evil boss. I'm not so sure I want to hear this. Hopefully you do by the end of it. So the crusade is starting now. So why should I care? Okay? Why should you care? It's very important to say up front, it's about doing the good that you want to see in your local community. It's not about talking about it. So it's not the greenwashing, it's not lovely CSR brochures, it's not a whole section on your website. It's not a picture of your charity committee, as lovely as they are. That's not the reality. The reality is, are you as businesses, this is where I start, throwing the monkeys out that way, are you doing good in your community? So I see it as a motivation to improve your business while building relationships. So as any of you will know already, business is you. You are your business. That's who people do business with. It's not the leaflet, not the website, it's not even the product. It's you. So building those relationships in every shape and every form has to be a good thing. Meeting your stakeholder expectations. Now, unless you're like Ruthie and you're still at the stage of courting stakeholders, you do have them. You might be thinking about investors and others, but actually it's everybody that's associated with your business. And we could do a whole separate session, and believe me, we wouldn't be doing it in a hot night. But it's all called stakeholder mapping. Woo! I know. All requests to Sinead. Where we could talk about your stakeholders. Okay, this is the doof bit. I firmly believe, and would love to debate you, that if you have an ethical business with a vision, just like we've heard about in the previous part, well done, you're good at this, that we heard about in the previous part, you will come back and do business over and over and over again. The other reality is that consumers are changing. Sorry, I thought that one was next, it's not. Consumers are changing. So my 22-year-old Q shop, my 22-year-old has a very different way to buy things. I care about price, I care about reviews. I care what Doreen and Dorset has written about the toaster. Why should I care? He doesn't do any of that. He has that social awareness of the values and personality of the business, and he makes a decision. He either likes them or doesn't like them. And if he wants to tell them something, he tells them. And I'm going, what? I might possibly think about an email to customer services at some point if I wanted a dialogue. No. Why wouldn't he tweak them and expect an answer? He went off to work in head office, and I won't bore you about lots of mummy stories, but he went off to work in head office in Tesco's. And they had introduced a whole lot, I shouldn't have, succession planning and leadership. Again, another session in itself. And he was there with the MD of Tesco's, and Rory gave his opinion. And I went, career suicide? He goes, no, he asked me, so I told him. Now, he's a very nice child. You know, he's pleasant, he's affable, he's smiling, he's a people pleaser, even though I'm trying to train him out of it. He's not quite like me, he's still a man. But the reality, and I love men, I'd like to point out I've had 2 husbands, remember. So the reality is, he has a very different view about business, so it is changing whether we like it or not. So all of your businesses have to, in my humble opinion, adapt. So, one of the things that we all love when we meet someone is whether or not intuitively we tell if they're authentic. So am I being truthful? I'm possibly borderline over-disclosing, which is not a good leadership style, but there's a transaction happening, there's a sharing happening. So hopefully, as I work hard to be authentic in everything I do in my business, what you get, I have no poker face. I'm very poor. I can't do that. So if I'm having a good day, you know. If I'm having not so good day, you know. If I come across a Dyson, I've now got better at just stepping away and pushing myself out of that zone. So that's part of the motivation to be self-employed, because it is about creating the life you want. So big tick to all of you. The other thing is, a lot of times people would have said to me in my lifetime, oh, you're very nice. As though somehow, you know, being this happy person, you know, just came naturally and was just very nice. It's a bit like lucky, right? I'm here to tell you, Zenbot, the evil thoughts were still happening, all of those things. You had to work at it. So when I had to pick up and go and ask people for support and donors and money and face all of those things, there were days when I just wanted to go, no. But you don't, you get up and you support the team member and you support the member of staff that you have to have a difficult conversation with. So the weakness is not, it's strength. So all the times anybody's ever misdiagnosed you, I'm here to tell you that it's actually an advantage in business, and believe it, own it, share it. laugh about it, because it's something we have that we should cherish across our business lives. So, I'll start skimming through some of these quotes because really, you can get these slides anytime. So, it's not just about how the company spend their profits. So years ago, you might have been encouraged to make a donation to charity, and that somewhere along the line, it would have been a charity committee who would have decided how it was spent. What I'm saying is, welcome to the future. It's not about that sidelined tokenism. It's about how you made the profits to start with. So this is about the ethical, responsible values and vision that we heard so eloquently before me, and also with Vivian in terms of her business journey. Those are coming from deep in here. So we're back to words like authentic and all of those things. But that's what the true meaning of it is. Now, if business and the community were in here, they'd probably be throwing things at me. But that's the reality of how do you adapt this so that you are competitive in your business. I want you to be super successful. The more successful you are, the more you will spread that around your community, and the more successful as a group we will all be. So, you can tell I've done a dissertation recently. Okay, so Professor Michael Porter is talking about all of this, and this is one of those times where America is streets ahead, in some ways. So I qualify that because you do still have a whole consensus of thought which says there's nothing ethical about business, it's purely profit. Now they're my favourite people to take on in the pub at 10 o'clock at night, because their world is changing whether they like it or not. So the reality is you can use the opportunities in your community to develop your product, develop your service, be innovative, listen to your customers, better understand them, and I could, much like you, bore you rigid on lots of examples. So again, if we had time at the end, and I don't think we would today, is to call out your business sectors, and I'll tell you how we match them. It's a bit of a game. You definitely need wine for that. But it is where you can develop those, yes, you can develop those connections to drive your business. Because let's face it, we're all here because of business. Yes, we want to feel good. Yes, we want to meet people. Yes, we want to eat pizza. But we're, and I know I was stroking it, but anyway. I think I might need the ice bucket first. That's how I know I'm not that moment in life, but anyway. Okay, so following on from my toxic experience, we have lots of sharing going on, but you know, we're women, we love it. I wanted to better understand the good people that I met. I had more than identified the people that I didn't want to be like, and I had fallen out with one rather spectacularly. So I knew that pretty much that die was cast, I needed to create my own life, but I wanted to understand better how come the good guys and gals who made it in business without killing people in the process. So the people that didn't make others cry and feel absolutely wretched, I wanted to better understand them so that hopefully I can emulate it. So, this is like small print. Researched 25 businesses. I sent out invites to 50. Good old LinkedIn. I've given it a plug twice. Louise would like to point out twice. Louise, LinkedIn. Yeah, thank you. My very first workshop, I would like to say. This is where I think life is great, because it throws people in your path, and even when you don't realise, they throw them again and go, you are going to work with these people. That's a whole other, definitely a whole other conversation. So the reality was I got businesses to fill in a questionnaire, yawn yawn, but that in itself was a telling point, because the people that had multi-million-pound companies that took time out to fill in a questionnaire, why would you do that? You know what, why would you? So that in itself gave you a clue. The people that came back and said, no, I haven't time to fill this in, I'm concentrating on my business, they went into a category of their own. I'm not bitter. I mean, I've had people that went back and forth in that conversation with me, like, oh, you could have filled it in half the time of going back and forth. But the reality was that actually their businesses were struggling. So secretly, that's a kind of case in point. Because for me, it's about the relationship building is what makes a business thrive. So sometimes if you're in too far, you can become so narrow in your vision that those relationships become narrower and narrower. And I'm sorry, there's only one way your business is going. Okay, I'll skip over the boring bits. Right, I'm not doing okay time-wise. Speed up. Okay, lots of sectors. The only one I was missing was farming. So the other, it's amazing what you can do when you're under pressure. Okay, so I asked the business people to rank in order the ethical side of their business. One, I was amazed that they were willing to talk about it and saw it as having a value in itself. Okay? But the reality was that for the super successful businesses, it was about ethics in their business decision making. And can I say, exactly, and I didn't even pay you. I didn't even pay you to do that. So that's a case in point. The ethics in your decision making govern what you do. So think about what are your ethics as a person. I don't want you to think about business as being separate. I want you to think about your ethics, full stop. Business reputation is crucial, so again, that goes to the Rory story. He makes a decision whether he likes a business or doesn't. Okay, so again, I'll circulate these, you can read them, I'll test you next time I see you. So, main conclusion, that was quick, wasn't it? That was good. So, effective and successful leaders displayed higher than average emotional intelligence, right? So you've had lots of science tonight and you've coped very well. This is a wee bit more. I've got my moment, you're not getting me down, I've got my dress. So the reality here was, what is this EI that they've got? We all know about IQ, but what's this EI? And if you... Sorry, what you... Thank you. So the reality is, what is this EI that they're talking about? Do I have it? Do I care? How do I make it better? So, it's the ability to understand, manage and effectively express one's own feelings and engage and manage others, in other words. So going back to the Dysons, this is the EI moment. It's when you go in as a team leader or as a business leader or as any kind of family leader. So never mind being a peacekeeper, you're actually managing the EI that's going on in your household. So I know I have very heightened levels, which is just as paralysing as having too little. So it's not a value judgment. This is just an awareness for you in terms of yourself, and you can do lots of quizzes and lots of ways to determine it. But for me, one of the things I've used to great advantage in my career is my ability to do emotional intelligence, the thing that made me 6 stone overweight and get on to husband number 2. Emotional intelligence, because I was picking it up regardless. I just had no way of being able to determine the good stuff and the bad. I have got better. So, if you want to read lots more about it, again, sorry, start to speed up, is Daniel Goleman. Having a secret little crush on him because he does YouTube, which I love because then you can listen and see. I like to see people, I like to see the cut of their jib. To say, do I want to listen to you? Do I not? Yeah, absolutely. You just, well, no, when you have a look at him. So no, I'm staying with husband number 2. He's a mechanic and he fixes things. Great. Okay, so quick run through: self-awareness, self-regulation, motivation, empathy, social skills. All the things I draw on to do my job. So when I go in and build relationships with businesses or with social enterprises or with beneficiaries or stakeholders, that big long list at the start, I'm using all of those things. So, now, framework. You never thought you would have to say a framework tonight, did you? Well, bear with me, okay? Because when we circulate these notes, they will make sense. Because when people talk to me and say, but what do you mean self-management? You know, I'm not great at timekeeping. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the emotional self-control. So that's the moment you're going home in the car going, I should have said, why didn't I do this? Why were they saying that about me? Meanwhile, there could be a very serious business decision that you need to make and you're interpreting a lot of white noise. So that's about learning the skills to develop a better coping mechanism for all of those things. Now, when you look at relationship management, to me that's practically a definition of women. Women statistically outperform men 70% on emotional intelligence. However, there is always a however. However, the top 10% of leaders, there is no gender bias. So the top 10 have got it going on. Doesn't matter which they are. So think about the leaders you know in your life. Think about the people you've come across. Think about the people that intuitively know the right thing to say, that make you feel better. Those are the people that have got this going on. Now, when you look at all of that and you have time to look at it properly, and I'm making you do it, it's like speed dating, we're doing speed, emotional intelligence. The reality is, for me, there's a bit missing, and this is what stops us from taking over the world. The bit that stops us. In that corner under self-awareness is a thing called self-doubt. The little voice that goes, seriously, what makes you think you can do that? Seriously, you want to go out and do your own business? How do you want to explain to people what you want to do? All of those self-doubts are the ones that hold all the other squares back. So again, that's a whole other, I'm trying to pick myself up here to get, more work. So, emotional intelligence, that's what the stats look like. That's what the research looked like. So it was very heavily skewed. There is a scientist theory that is proven, which is around the brain's limbic system. So the brain's limbic system is on an open loop. That's why I have no control. I am picking up everybody else's. If you were talking about internal parts of my body, like the heart and the closed system of pumping blood around my body, that does its job very well. But the reality is that when you look at the emotional intelligence, it's all about the brain's limbic system, and that was my light bulb moment. I realised this is what I have. This is what's going on for me, so I have to get strategies to be able to manage it. Okay, so lots of psychologists agree. Okay, we'll go past that one. The reality of what were the coping strategies? So how did you go from the 6 stone, overweight, miserable, seriously ill individual who had no life balance? Meanwhile, I was smiling and could throw a great party. So, a lot of it wasn't outward. So the reality is that I then look at these things. So this is the key to me being a businesswoman in my own right and not being in a set organisation. So I try to be proactive, not reactive. So when somebody is being that Dyson and sucking the energy clean out of the room, I just get proactive and I say, see ya. Now, I don't do it quite as briefly as that. I will do it in a more sensible way. But the other words is I choose who I work with. So I'm better at spotting. So people will come along in all sorts of guises, but be mindful about who you work with. Bounce back from the adversity. Again, I would be known for that, but actually this is a different kind of adversity. This is when a business opportunity doesn't work out the way you thought, and the little voice that's sitting here is going, told you. What do you expect? Told you. That's a different kind of adversity. You give me a crisis, I'm the first one in there. This is different. Yeah, I'm still working on this one. Express difficult emotions. And yes, I do practice the language. I know it all sounds a bit twee, and we've heard this all before, but it's true. When somebody makes you cross, how do I not eat 12 Jaffa cakes till I feel better? I now tell them, whoa, was that a shock for husband number 2? Was that a shock for my mother? My mother actually turned around and said to me, have you been for counselling, dear? Because I said, when you say that, this is how I feel. And she went, where have you learned that? But again, that's about me trying to articulate it. Stay calm and manage stress, even when you're in a situation like this. Reduce negative emotions. Those are all easy to say, very hard to do. Okay, when it applies to your business, I'm going to speed up. 80% expect the companies to have the value base. So when somebody's looking for their IT, when somebody's looking for their work-life balance to support their employees' well-being, all of these things matter. So they want to know what is the values, what is the ethics, what is your business all about, what is the personality of your business. If you don't know your own personal gut feelings and values, how are you ever going to answer that question? So the reality was the companies that were thriving were companies that had leaders in place that had strong EI, regardless of the gender. 70%, this is increasing all the time. People make a decision about where they buy and what they do business with. If you remember nothing else tonight, this is the difference between your business being profitable and not being profitable, is your ability to attract customers. Reflect on the quick drive home or the train or, sometime next week. What are your values? Not your business values, not your business plan, what are your values? How do you lead by example in every walk of life? So those keys that I had there, how do you actually apply those in the real world when you're tired, fed up, overworked, underpaid? How good am I at managing and mastering the skills of self-awareness? All of that. We'll leave the framework for another day. Understand your strengths and weaknesses. Understand what you're good at, what you're not. It's not a popularity contest. We all have different varying results, but the trick is to know the difference between what you've got and what you haven't. Be true to you. Be authentic. More background reading if you're a sado like me. We're not time for questions. Stay in touch.